Hey guys, back with another video. Um, and today I'm going to be talking just about football in general, I think, really. Talk about the Champions League a bit, talk about the Europa, and as always, I'll talk a bit about Man United. Sorry that I've not posted in 2 or 3 weeks. I got a new job and then I was in Lille for a bit, which was really good. Didn't manage to get to a game, unfortunately. Lille were playing away at PSG, so yeah, that meant that we couldn't go, but still had a nice time. So starting with, I guess we've got to start with the Champions League game, Liverpool PSG. Wow, what a game! That was probably my favourite game that I've watched this season, I think. I expected Liverpool to do a lot better, as I think a lot of people would have done. But PSG were just incredible. I think, for those of you that watched the game, you'll have heard it on the commentary. It was said quite a lot that PSG are a way better team now, better sort of collective now than kind of what we've seen for the last sort of 15 odd years, back when they had Zlatan and then back when they had, even the Neymar and Messi's in recent times. They've always had somebody there or multiple players there that are imbalancing things and that don't want to work hard defensively, Mbappe, etc. But now they've just got 11 players that they're just like wild dogs, aren't they? They just run and run and run, and they're so good on the ball. They've really gone and got a lot of players that are brilliant on the ball. Vitinha, João Neves, and then you've got the likes of Dembele and Kvaratskhelia. Wow. And then just to play, even like then they've got Barcola and Desiree Doué coming off the bench and stuff. They're a really good team. They could win this Champions League. They definitely could do it. But yeah, Liverpool dug in, didn't they? They in the first half when I was watching it, I was just like, Slot's got to change something. He really has to maybe make a change in the first half hour because it's just going so badly. It felt like part of their plan was to keep Diaz and Salah really high and wide, so that they could use them as an outball and spring a counter attack. But PSG just had so much of the ball, and they needed Diaz and Salah to get back and help with the defence, but they didn't. They didn't do that. They were a defensive liability. I was thinking maybe take off Jota and bring on Curtis Jones as like an extra body in the middle to cover the space, and then they could have kept Diaz and Salah maybe high still for the counter. But yeah, they were getting battered, weren't they? Getting absolutely battered. And they definitely improved in the second half for sure. They were better, but still PSG were on top, really, weren't they? Salah quite rightly got taken off. That was definitely his worst game of the season. I mean, he's clearly the best player in the world this season, but it was the worst game I've seen of him. And Nuno Mendes just had him in his pocket. He was absolutely incredible, Nuno Mendes. So that was interesting to see. Marquinhos was great as well. Pacho was absolutely fantastic. Hakimi, but Dembele, man, oh my god, wow, he was insane, Dembele, wasn't he? Some player, now that his kind of like injury problems seem to have stopped, he really is some player, that guy. Um, and they took Salah off, didn't they? And he deserved to go off. Didn't look so happy. Brought Harvey Elliott on, and then obviously he scores with his first touch. And I did like that it cut to the bench and Salah was laughing. He was kind of like, "All right, yeah, fair enough then," which that was pretty cool. Shows what a good guy Mo is. Yeah, that was good. Um, it's going to be really interesting, really interesting to kind of see now how it goes in the second leg at Anfield. Even though they're at home, I think he's going to have to set up differently. I think he's going to have to change something tactically because, if you replayed that game 10 times, 9 times out of 10, PSG would have won that by at least a 2-goal margin. So they're going to have to, and PSG play that way, home and away. So he's going to have to change something, I think. It's going to be a really interesting tactical battle. But they held on and they got the win. Fair play. Obviously, yesterday as well, against Southampton, 1-0 down because of that. I actually thought that was a foul, on, I think it was either on Van Dijk or on the keeper. Basically, somebody like, one of the Southampton players almost broke one of their legs. He wrapped both his legs in the middle of someone else's legs and crunched them. It was either Van Dijk or Ellison. I thought that was a definite foul actually, but they still had a mix up, didn't they? And they conceded. But Liverpool did what Liverpool have been doing, and that's what champions do. And then they got the win. Big week for them now. PSG at home, I think on Wednesday, and then they've got the Carabao, haven't they, at the weekend against Newcastle, which 2 very high intensity games for them. Really going to test their fitness and their legs. So yeah, interesting one, very interesting. And then Man United, we have to win the Europa League. I don't think we will, of course I don't think we will, but financially I think we have to win the Europa League. We're in such dire straits. We owe 300 mil in transfer fees still. We about 800 million in debt, so the interest payments and loan repayments are really high every year. We'll lose 10 million from the Adidas sponsorship deal if we don't qualify for the Champions League. Yeah, really tough for us, really tough. But against Sociedad, try saying that 10 times quick. Sociedad, they were rubbish, weren't they? The first half, I was like, wow, we're actually creating chances. We should have been 3-4-0 up. But I was, I just knew it. I was like, when we get towards half time and we've not put them to bed, I was like, this is classic us. This isn't gonna go well by full time. Garnacho had 2 really gilt-edged chances in that first half where he ended up hitting the side netting rather than hitting it on target, and it was easier to score than it was to hit the side netting. Just absolutely rubbish. Dallo had the one where he should have played it across to Højlund, who got himself in a really good position, and he didn't. Felt sorry for Højlund there. Højlund, I thought, played a lot better actually in this game. He has been playing better in Europe. Before this he'd scored 10 in his last 10. But his hold-up play was so much better. And he looked sharp, which was nice to see. But yeah, Garnacho was just rubbish. And then he got taken off in the second half, and he was just shaking his head again. And on the bench, shaking his head. Somebody in that kid's camp needs to tell him that he is nowhere near as good as he thinks he is. And also needs to tell him when he's not playing well. He assisted the goal. Other than that, he was terrible. And he's got extreme delusions of grandeur. And his people around him are not helping him because they should be saying to him, you've had a bad game actually. You know, you were taken off for the right reasons because you were playing poorly. But clearly they're not. Clearly, like most modern footballers, he's surrounded by yes men. So that was pretty annoying to see. The conceding the penalty was just like classic Man United. We just can't catch a break. Can't catch a break. I really like Dorgu. Dorgu's engine man is just absolutely nuts. Up and down, up and down. I thought he had a really good game actually. Casemiro, he wasn't as heavy on the legs this game, so he was just had a lot of time to just pick passes and rolling back the ears. Casemiro in that game, I thought it was nice to see. I thought he had a really good game as well. But there we go, 1-1. And you know, we'll have to see what we can do at home. But it's a massive, massive game for us. Really, really huge. We need to pull something out of the bag, I think. I'm recording this video before we play Arsenal today. By the time you see this, we will have probably lost to Arsenal at home. Surprise me in the comments if that's not the case. But yeah, difficult fixture today. Been thinking more and more as well about what do we do, Man United. We're in a really, really tough financial position. They have decided to hire Amorim. He will play this system. This system is absolutely lives and dies by being better athletes than the other team, running like mad dogs and being able to run into space with the ball and dribble. We don't really have this. We're not really. We've got a terrible squad for that, which is I think is one of the reasons why he is struggling. We just don't have the players for it. So, and he isn't going to change. So that means they have to back him financially. But if we don't get Champions League football will massively alleviate some of these issues. But if we don't get Champions League football, which is obviously highly unlikely, I'd give us probably a 5% chance, of winning the Europa League. If we don't win it, the only way that I can see this being able to happen is I think we have to sell Garnacho and Kobe. Which fans will be really unhappy with, but it's dire straits, and that Kobe you would think would go for, I would say minimum 60, and I think Garnacho would go for minimum 50-ish. So over 100 million anyway. You would get over 100 million for those two. That's pure profit on the books. Pure profit on the books. In any given year, if we weren't already in such a bad financial position, you make 100 million in pure profit on the books because they're academy players. You could afford to spend at least double that, maybe triple that, because of the amortization. Probably closer to triple, if not triple, if you've got the cash reserves to do that. So, and then it's looking like we are going to sell Sancho, so that's some money in. It's looking like maybe now we're getting closer to selling Rashford. He's doing okay. Anthony, you would assume, is going to go as well. There's more money there, and Rashford's pure profit as well. This is how it's going to have to be to fund Amorim. But the scary thing is, and I don't think a lot of United fans are getting this. Let's say, and this is totally hypothetical. Let's say we make maybe close to 200 million in transfer fees in the summer. If we sell Garnacho, Kobe, Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, and maybe a couple of others. Maybe we end up selling a couple of other players for much smaller fees. So you're looking at close to 200 million there, and that means that we can spend at least 300. This is last roll of the dice though, because if we do that and we get a load of players in and it doesn't work next season, and we're mid-table again or even lower like where we're at now, and we haven't won the Europa League, so there's no European football, and we don't qualify for Europe next season, Man United are in a scary, scary place then. and it wouldn't, it wouldn't be kind of sort of far fetched to see us kind of falling towards financial ruin and relegation and stuff like that. Which is kind of why, for me, I would be happy with us having a quite a cautious approach next summer in terms of selling star players for like 60 odd million, like Cobby, but then not spending 60 million on one player. Going and getting a Mateta or a Liam Delap, players that are going to cost less than that. It's just spreading that money about a bit and being a bit more. Still getting in plenty of bodies, still getting plenty of bodies, but proven Premier League players that you think are on the up, particularly someone like a Delap maybe, and like just mid-table, and consolidate next year. Go for mid-table, and but you haven't spent loads, and you've kind of softened all the financial concerns, because that then allows you to consolidate and go again the next year, and there isn't as much of a big concern about qualifying for Europe. But we need to start making some profit one way or the other, whether that's big commercial deals, whether that's or whether that's through player sales, and we have a year of recouping more than we spend. It's gonna have to happen. Yeah, so interesting times. Well, feel free to mock me in the comments if we beat Arsenal today, or feel free to let me know that I've stated the obvious and that we've lost to Arsenal as I predicted. Hope everyone's good anyway, and see you soon, guys.